So hi everyone, Father Billy here again, continuing and indeed concluding our series of meditations on the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. And a few thoughts today on the 7th gift of the Holy Spirit, the gift of fear of the Lord, otherwise known as the gift of awe and wonder in His presence. I love the summers here in Ireland, the beautiful landscapes, the colours, the greenery, the long evenings, the rivers, the lakes. It's like walking in God's beautiful garden without walls. And when we contemplate the beauty in which we are immersed at this time of the year, it lifts up our minds and our hearts to the one who is responsible for it all and leads us to worship and to praise. This, of course, this spirituality of being connected to the created world and leading us to praise and to know God the Creator is expressed in the Psalms, particularly in Psalm number 8, where the author of that psalm says, "When I consider the works of your hands, the moon and the stars that you have arranged, what is man that you should keep him in mind, mortal man that you should care for him? Yet you have made him little less than a god, for this we revere you." So there's that paradox again that we feel when we feel the felt immensities of the night sky, the magnitude of the universe, and how great God is to have made all of this, and yet how small we are. This gift of fear of the Lord as well, and awe and wonder in God's presence, it makes us realize that the God who made all of this is also the God the Father who knows and loves each and every one of us. And it leads us, like I said, to praise. It grounds us in our own limitations. It grounds us in our own mortality. The fact that we will die. The fact that we will be judged before God, who is merciful but also just. It keeps all of that in mind, that God is God and we are the people that He has made. This gift of fear of the Lord, it needs to be understood correctly as well. It's not a fear in a slavish kind of way that we're terrified or paralyzed before God in fear all of the time. In actual fact, it's much more about freedom for courage. And this was the fear of God, of the martyrs and some of the great saints. Their one fear above everything else was offending God and being unfaithful to Him. And their fear of torture and murder and imprisonment was all secondary to this fear that they had of being unfaithful to God. St. Thomas Aquinas was at pains to remind us that the fear of the Lord is not a servile fear. It's not kind of we're paralyzed or terrified or we're not living in fear of God all of the time. We fear God as God, which is the first step in the book of Proverbs. It reminds us of the gift of wisdom, that we fear God properly in a healthy kind of way, that God is God and we are mere creatures. And like I said, it leads us to praise that God is great, and it leads us to simplicity, it leads us to humility. And it's also, as Pope Francis said in a Wednesday audience recently, it leads us to have an alarm within us of when sin is active and present in our lives. Again, that to have the courage of the saints and the fear of the Lord, that our greatest fear is offending Him and being separated from Him. So my friends, we have come to the end of our conclusions on the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. I hope you have enjoyed watching these. I have certainly enjoyed giving them to you, and I've learned a lot myself. And one of the greatest things that stands out for me of what I've learned from these 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit is that God's gift of Himself, God's total gift of Himself through the gift of the Holy Spirit, it's like the rays of a sun that refract into the 7 colours of the rainbow. They manifest themselves and express themselves in our humanity in different ways, in the different 7 gifts, in wisdom and in courage and knowledge, counsel, fear of the Lord, piety, and finally today of the gift of fear of the Lord and awe and wonder. So they manifest themselves in not abstract ways but concrete ways in our lives, the constant gift of the Holy Spirit to us. So my friends, I hope to see you all again. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all.